Every year there's a band or bands that make quite the impression on a lot of people. Then they become humongously larger than they were before. They put themselves on the map. I guess you can say that the band eventually blows up. I thought it would be an interesting video to talk about bands I think will blow up in 2024. So here are my official predictions. Let me dive in. The first band that I'm confident will blow up at some point next year is the band Glixen. I have talked about this band in several TikToks. I've talked about them on YouTube videos even. Now this is me officially stamping my prediction. Glixen will be a band that blows up in 2024. Now if I'm wrong, obviously it'll probably happen. I'll be wrong on one of these, but doesn't matter. Here for the fun, here to talk about new music, Glixen. If you don't know, Glixen is a shoegaze band from Phoenix, Arizona. The band quite literally has the quintessential / classic shoegaze sound. And for the OG shoegaze fans that were there when My Bloody Valentine's Loveless first released, you might not think much of this band because they do utilize their influences and try to make their own sound. But I also see just older fans of any genre really. They do not accept any new generation band because they can't accept that young people make music too. I see a lot of comments saying that they aren't special or anything like that, but you have to think in a record label's point of view and an online community type of point of view. This band has a look, this band has the sound. Live, there's no question that this band is good live. All of these things can catapult the band into bigger and better things. The songs they have are very melancholic, and the noise that they have in the background, completely beautiful. The vocals, in my opinion, are the cherry on top of everything. I don't think the band overlooks the vocals, but if you don't even pay attention to the vocals, I feel like you'll still have a great experience. Bands do have a better chance of making a career for themselves because of social media, which I think is a good thing. The band has honestly anything you could ask for. I talked about them being great live, and I know that because I was there firsthand. I've seen them in person in Sacramento, and whatever expectation I had, they kind of just said, you know what, we don't care if you don't know us, we don't care if you think we're probably going to be garbage, we're going to punch you in the face with humongous distortion. They draw the crowd with ease, and that's very important for a band. That being said, I've talked about this band enough, but I'm very confident in them. They will blow up in 2024. The next band I'm going to talk about is a band that barely has any material, and when I say that, I literally mean they only have 3 songs out. The band is Juggler. Juggler is a shoegaze band as well. Had to take off my jacket, I'm literally sweating. When you look at bands today, and really any era, you kind of have to see not only in music terms, but do they have an appeal physically or anything like that? And the band does have a darker type of aesthetic to them, which I think a lot of younger people really gravitate towards. And the music, which is the most important thing overall, they knock it out of the park when you listen to them. With their riffs and their slow, methodical vocals, the band possesses a bunch of catchy oh my god, I can't say this. The band possesses a bunch of catchy qualities, and I feel like they are more likely to blow up online than anything. They have this sort of vibe like the band Wisp, where they can probably blow up on TikTok and have quite a large fan base, and I think that will happen next year. With only a limited size material, they already have a song with 1 million streams on it, and when I listen to the song, it sort of has that 90s Siamese dream type of riff to it, but it's not the same thing at all. I can see Juggler blowing up with ease, only depending on if they update their discography. Let's move on to the next band from Los Angeles, California, Rocket. To me, they sort of sound basically like alternative rock. And when I say alternative rock, they kind of have so many different qualities, and whenever a band has so many different sounds in their songs or albums or EPs, I just labeled it as alternative rock because it's all bunched together. There's some shoegaze elements, they have an indie rock presence. So to me, if you just jumble all of that up, they're just alternative rock. The music they have is low on quantity, but it's so high on quality. Their EP Versions of You is exactly what I wanted to hear from the band. I first heard of this band earlier this year, and I did like what I heard. The first time I heard of this band was earlier this year, and I believe they only had 1 song out, so I felt like I couldn't really talk about the band or give an opinion because there was really 1 song out. But The EP arrived and they completely did everything I wanted them to do and more. I love the vocals so much, and the overall vibe of the whole band reminds me of summer. The vocals have a sunshine to them, but the lyrics are kind of mellow and sad. I didn't get bored at all really when I was listening to this whole thing. I was kind of smiling ear to ear because I simply knew this band was capable of making great music, and if they release more stuff next year, I think there's a high % chance that this band does blow up at some point next year. So look out. Let's move on to a band I made a whole video about, and that band is the slowcore band Teethe. I feel like we'll look at this band as the bar in terms of slowcore of this new generation. You can argue that they are already blown up with the amount of monthly listeners, which is 150 plus thousand, and their devoted, respectful fan base. I just feel like there's going to be a different gear whenever they release material, and people are going to look at this band with the highest regard online, and reviews will be very nice to them. Or maybe I'm jumping the gun and they won't even release anything next year, because really you never know whenever a band's going to release something unless they tell you. And if people don't view this band in that way right now, I feel like they will get their respect in 20 years when we look back. I'm simply appreciating and highlighting the band right now because I don't want to wait 20 years and be like, yeah, that band was pretty good. They deserve all the love, and I feel like they're going to blow up in 2024, so I'm just going to keep it short and sweet and simple since I already made a video about them. Now finally, the last band that I'm going to be talking about is the band Bleed. Bleed is a band from Dallas, Texas that has sort of a mixture of early 2000s alternative hard rock and metal. The band is widely respected and there's a real big fan base for this band, and I kind of see the vision with it as well. A lot of people love the music, and even though they only have one EP and one single, this band has hit the ground running with the small batch of material that they have anyways. They are unapologetically in your face with riffs and their vocals, angsty vocals I might add. This band has past and present members of the band Narrowhead, and Narrowhead being a band I've also talked about a million times on this channel and on TikTok, a band I did a complete 180 on, and now I listen to them all the time. Bleed obviously has some similar qualities, but I won't say they're the same band because when I listen it's completely different. Whenever I listen to Bleed, I get more of a hard rock riff hitting type of sound with them. Although both bands kind of have this alternative rock sort of sound to it, the vocals are very different singers. You can hear it clear as day. The melodies are very on point, and I feel like the mixture of all these little subgenres and whatever are perfectly mixed together, and they don't get in the way of each other. It doesn't sound stupid. And it's with most of the bands that I talked about, it's about when will they release new music, and whenever Bleed does, they're going to be on top of everything. I feel like they'll be looked at as a band that has arrived and will be here to stay. So that will be exciting whenever that happens. I'm looking forward to it next year. And if all these predictions are really wrong and embarrassing and stupid, then I'll take it, man. I really just wanted to talk about a bunch of cool up-and-coming bands, some bands that have been around for a little bit but are barely getting some buzz. I like talking about all the elements with the bands. I'm hoping they all blow up, not to be right, but for the success of the bands, and hopefully they reach their visions and everything. So those are all the bands that I think will blow up in 2024. Do you think I'm wrong? Do you think I'm stupid? Do you have another band that I didn't even mention? Sorry, I keep burping. I'll leave a Spotify link to each band down below because some of you might not know who these bands even are. 2024 forever.